I'm going to tell you my story and how I got into being an intuitive, because it has a lot to do with skepticism and what I did when I came up against mine. And hopefully it won't take you so long to get over yours. In looking back, in retrospect, I have always loved being in service to people. And I was that friend that people would talk to about things that they wanted, and I somehow knew the answer. But my gift started to make itself very prominent when I got into starting my massage practice. I took a wonderful massage and went out there in the world and started doing that for people. It was in my first, I'd say 30 days of doing massage that I actually called my massage facilitator in a bit of a panic. And I told her something that was happening while I was doing massage for people. And though she found it absolutely wonderful and called it a gift, which honestly I did not at the same time consider it that, she had never heard of that before and she didn't know what to do about it. And so even though I'd had experiences before, I remember vaguely seeing what I thought was a ghost walk in front of my car at one point when I was at a stop sign. I had had a pretty strong vision when I was young. I was maybe about 8 or 9 years old, and I was staying at my aunt's home. And I was, all the girls were sleeping in one bed. I was sleeping with my cousin, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I saw a bit of an illuminating figure at the end of the bed. And being 8 or 9 years old, it was, I would have to say, the first feeling that I had was fear. And I felt that through the next couple of days. I didn't tell anybody, and I didn't think it was normal. So I'd had a couple of preceding, maybe what I now to know as maybe insights or visions, but I was just too young to be able to put them together. And so when I started doing massage, literally when I started massaging people, I would talk to them a little differently sometimes. So for example, when people came to me and I'm massaging them, one woman in particular, I would be like, take a deep breath and let go of your day, is what I would say to people. And for her, I was like, take a deep breath and let go of your J. And she looked at me and she said, I'm just in debate whether to let go of my relationship, and his name is Jay. Little things like that started to happen, and I was like, whoa, that's a bit of a coincidence. But the biggest thing that came on pretty strong that had me running and calling my massage teacher was that when the beginning of the massage, when I was about to massage them, I literally would see their guides walk through the walls of my massage room and stand around the table. So if you want to talk a little bit about being skeptic, I really didn't know what to do with that. And remember, we're dating to 1992, 1993, and the word intuitive healer or psychic was not as well received or known about. I really didn't know what to do about that, and because my massage teacher didn't really know what to do about it either, even though she thought it was much more exciting than me, I chose to keep that to myself. And only when I received information, because these guides would talk to me, that I felt would not be perceived as psychic information, I would share that with them. So I would say, I just have a feeling that maybe, are you thinking about going back to school? Because I'd literally seen a school teacher standing beside this person. And they're like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, I'm sensing that might be a really good direction to go. I didn't even know how to articulate it. Now here's the interesting thing about being skeptical, is my neighbor at the time when all this was going on, and I was in my 20s, I didn't know how to deal with it, said to me, hey, I've got these 2 free passes to go see this psychic. I was like, no, thank you. I mean, it was fast. It was like, no, thank you. And she's like, no, I've been before. It's great. She's wonderful. Come, let's go together. And I was just really, really adverse to it. One, because truly what was going on with me was really scary to me. I hadn't yet was able to see its benefit. And 2, I had that concern. I thought, this woman's going to know what I'm thinking. She's going to be able to read my mind. I don't want her to know things about me that I don't want her to know. Anyways, it took her about 6 weeks to convince me to go. And so when I did go, I went to go see her, and she worked from a little office, and I went in, and I was extremely uncomfortable. I didn't know what to expect. And we sat down and we started talking. And at first she started telling me about some past life information, which I thought was more interesting than not. But the biggest thing that was in my mind is that the thoughts that were racing, like, I hope she doesn't know what I'm thinking. I hope she doesn't pick up on anything. I thought she could hear them. Like, I just was uneducated. I didn't know what to expect. I had never been to a psychic before. And so anyways, eventually through the reading, she just looked at me calmly and said, I think someone's a little psychic and are having a bit of a problem with that. And that was the first time I was able to go, oh my God, you have no idea, and able to express myself to somebody and get some validation and confirmation around what was going on for me. So for me, it was actually, my biggest concern was that she could read my mind, but I was really glad that she could sense what was going on enough to be able to facilitate and help me. Now, I was able to accept it a little bit more and work with it a little bit more and start to tell people slowly, again, this was a long time ago. And then I also I get massaged regularly, huge advocate, and I went to go see this wonderful woman. And as she was massaging me, she said, do you mind if I stop and do a healing, a reading? And I was like, I was so excited. It was like, candy falling from the sky. I was like, really? That happens to you too? And I was really just looking for camaraderie and an understanding. And she said, absolutely. And so in her doing a reading on me during my massage session was extremely validating to myself, who has the same thing happen. I just wasn't able to tell people that. Those two things made me feel a lot more comfortable about my gift, which now I call it. And from that time on to this time has been a constant evolvement of my intuitive abilities. They have gone into really strong areas and extremely more detailed. And experiences that I had from that point on didn't seem so scary. And actually, ironically, people come to me now for specifically wanting to know which guides are following them and which ones are standing around the table when we do a session. So now it's a blessing, but it was just, for my skepticism, what I had to do was just stay engaged and stay open. And it was one of those situations where when the student's ready, the teachers will appear. And so for whatever reason, it happened for when it happened. When I started doing massage is when that particular gift came pouring through, and being able to find the people that could coach me and work me through it. And I've had many expansive experiences in my psychic gift since then, and I know now to source out people. It may seem strange to think that a psychic would have a psychic, but I think one of the benefits about going to an intuitive is that you get to leave your stuff behind, in that your ego has no way of permeating in because they don't have an attachment to the answers that I would. So I'm able to intuitive for myself, and I do majority work through my own intuition and guide myself, but it's also really relieving and feels like freedom when I can go to somebody else that can do for me what I do for people. So hopefully listening to my story a little bit about how skeptical I was and the process that I had to go through, and that this evolvement over all these years has heightened my sense and my comfortableness enough with it to be able to invite you in on all areas of your life. So I encourage you, go get a reading.